welcome everyone that is watching. Thank you so much for taking the time to do so. I'm Monique. I am the 2IC at Foil Me, and I am so honoured to be joined by Sara and Petra from the National Breast Cancer Foundation today. We're going to be live with you, just having a bit of a chat. So yeah, we really wanted to thank Sara in particular for having the strength and taking the time to share your story and just offer support and experience to those that may be going through similar things or know someone. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
So yeah, I think probably one of the first things that people may want to be knowing, getting involved with the campaign, what's the foundation's research? What's that mean to you, and I guess what that means for the future?
So research to me is so important. We see a lot of different organisations that support breast cancer or cancer in general in various different ways. We have McGrath, who have the nurses, who are amazing, and we have NBCF, who provide that funding for research. And to me, nurses are the people that help you at the very time when you're going through treatment. Research is about the future and hope in particular for me. So when you look at research, for every dollar you invest, $2.74 is what you get out in research dollars. So research is things like new treatments, looking for things like, investigating different cancers and personalising your treatment, radiation, chemotherapy, and all those bits and pieces. On a personal level for me, for research, the way I came across National Breast Cancer Foundation is a bit of a funny/sad story. So I went through the gamut of, it was stage 3 breast cancer. So it was chemotherapy, lumpectomy, mastectomy, radiation, and then some extra treatment beyond that. And there was a day I was at home and my family had gone out and they left me alone in the middle of chemo. But it was coming up to that point where I was having to decide around mastectomies. Do I do a single or a double, and how's that going to work? So I started Googling. As you do, you go down these little rabbit holes of Google. And I was looking at all the pictures and trying to, answer questions which I couldn't answer because I'm not a medical professional. And I was on the couch pretty much in tears, just Googling, thinking, how did this happen? How did I get here? And then I came across the National Breast Cancer Foundation, and I started just reading through all their research projects. And it was the first time, I think, in a long time where I'd actually felt hope. I'd read this stuff and I'd seen, oh my gosh, here's this organisation that is actually taking money and putting it into research, and I'm able to read what they're doing. I'm reading about their researchers and scientists and professors writing up what they're doing, the new treatments they're looking at, and even just the treatments for my particular cancer, which is called a HER2 or a triple positive. So basically, that's about 20% of cancers, highly aggressive, likes to impact young people. So looking, being able to read about that just turned around my sadness, I guess, into feeling a bit more hope around, this isn't a death sentence. And that's sort of where I was.
Yeah. Oh, that's incredible that it was able to, provide that much hope. And knowledge is so much power, and particularly in those kind of situations. So thank you so much for sharing that. So I guess probably a bit more of a personal question to stem from that. So I guess what kind of impacts did your diagnosis have on you and on your family? I guess, and now, like what it means for your future in terms of being involved with the NBCF as well?
So I think when you're first diagnosed, everyone keeps referring back to the journey. I hate that word. I can't stand it. But I've not been able to come up with a new one in the last 2 and a bit years. I guess when someone says, you're diagnosed with breast cancer, it's a long journey. What they really need to explain is it's a long journey in a tiny little hatchback with your 3 kids in the back, driving from one side of Australia to another with no GPS, right? That's how it feels day in, day out. You don't know. You've just been shoved into this thing. You don't know where you're going. Your feelings are up and down. Everyone, your whole family's stuck in it with you. And it's just really intense. So from the moment I was diagnosed, there was just a huge sense of fear. I think at the end of the day, there were times that I was just laying on the couch and in tears to my husband saying, what have I done to deserve this? What are the boys, I've got 2 little boys, they were 5 and 8 at the time. What are the boys going to do? I'm a good person. I haven't done anything wrong. Why would this happen? And it was all those sorts of questions, which really, I guess, no one has any answers for. And it's a really fast transition from being diagnosed. So I was holidaying somewhere up north during school holidays of just the beginning of 2019. I felt a bit of a lump when I was in the shower. I'm not normally one to sort of feel, because I just kind of, washing and feeling, there's a bit of a lump, bit weird. I've had a lump previously somewhere else, and I'd sort of got that checked out, and that was nothing. I sort of use the thing where if I've got a lump on one side, it's not on the other side, then maybe there's something to look into. Then I thought, when I get back to the GP, I'll go get it checked out. And I thought, my little one was starting kindy that year, so the first day I had free was a Friday, and I thought, I'll go get it done then. On my first day off work that week, boys are in school, nice free day. What will you do? I'll go get to the GP and get a lump checked. And then from there, I ended up getting an ultrasound, and it was my wedding anniversary on that day. So forever, my wedding anniversary will be going for a lump check and an ultrasound. And coming out of the ultrasound with the woman sternly looking at me and saying, you need to come back, do not delay. And it was very ominous. Okay. So then you moved to biopsy, and then it was 2 weeks later I was in with the breast surgeon, having been diagnosed it was breast cancer already, and he just said, we can do the operation tomorrow, or I've got a spot next week, it's up to you, it makes no difference. And I said, let's smash it out and do it tomorrow. So from being diagnosed to 2 weeks later, I'm on the table being operated on, and then it just goes from there. And you really, I think, you're at mercy to the process at the end of the day. You have to just get on board, go with it, stick with the people that know what they're doing, which is the medical profession. And then there's that whole emotional roller coaster that's going on behind. Yeah. So that's the impact on me in terms of getting up every day and cancer being the first thing you think about for a long period of time. There's my husband, who had to, sit and hold me when things got really tough. There was the boys will be boys, bless them. I think they've sort of just got on with it as they went. There were 1 or 2 times probably when my eldest was impacted a bit, but when I cut my hair and stuff like that, they were like, whoa, but I'd let them choose, what hat do you want me to wear into school today? They go, that one. I said, can I wear none? They're like, no, you need to wear this one. I'm like, okay. So there's stuff like that and bits and pieces. Speaking to you, part of Foil Me, where hair is, the most important part of your business, I can certainly understand from firsthand what it's like and the importance of hair. So the day I lost mine was really long, so it was probably a bit longer than yours, Monique, and very thick and everywhere. So I decided I just let it fall out. I wasn't going to do the wig thing because I'm a bit lazy. And once you start chemo, your hair can fall out within 2 to 4 weeks. So at week 2, after my second session, I was in the shower one day, and it had been coming out in the shower, and I was just like, this is really knotty. I should, and then I was doing that, and clumps were coming out. And half of it came out in the shower in one morning. And I called my husband. I'm like, this is not good. And I got a bit upset. Friend came over. My little one, 5-year-old, came into the bathroom because he'd heard me sort of being upset, and opened it and said, what are you doing? And I was on the floor wrapped up in a towel, and I just said, nothing. I'm fine. I'm just talking to Dad. And he's like, okay. He closed the door. And as I came out later with the towel on my head, my 8-year-old walked up down the stairs and said, Mum, Caleb said you've been upset. Is everything all right? And I sort of got a bit teary myself. And I said, look, buddy, when I said my hair might fall out, well, it's happened. So I'll probably have to get it cut today. And he looked at me and he just teared up. And there's stuff like that where you're like, oh gosh, so you see the impact. And so I quite quickly bundled them up with their school stuff, threw lots of canteen money at them and said, have a great day. Take you to school and close the doors. Like, oh. And, you'll see on the National Breast Cancer Foundation, one of the videos I had, which was talking about the photo of that day where I've come out and my head was shaved. I had my hat on, a big smile, but that big smile was hiding a lot. But at the same time, that was just the relief, I guess, of having to try and keep your hair and what that means to you, and just letting it go and those bits and pieces. But, back to the journey is that was the first few months of my breast cancer journey. And since then, I had the mastectomy. I've had 25 sessions of radiation. I had a hysterectomy this year. That was just a personal choice to do that. And I've been through a couple of other things. And then you have hormone medication, which basically keeps me in menopause. pause. It then settles down, and I'm 2.5 years in now from my diagnosis date, which was February 2019. I don't think about it every morning when I wake up, but I think about it every day. Absolutely. Yes. So a lot of it's physical, around how you're feeling, a lot of side effects from bits and pieces. Then there's the parts where you look in the mirror and go, gosh, my hair's grown so much now, you know, what am I going to do with it when it's a little bit longer, and stuff like that too. Yeah. I went back to work for a little bit, and then sort of, I think my priorities have changed a bit, and I've taken another sort of leave of absence to say, I just want to chill out, because when I came out of treatment, it was supposed to be the year of travel, it was 2020, and then we had COVID.
Yes.
And then great, we know we'll do it again this year, there's been COVID. So things have had to change a little bit. But 2019 for us as a family was a really tough one. So on top of being diagnosed with breast cancer, my mum was quite unwell with a lung condition, but after about 3 weeks after I finished her. So 2019 as a family was just diabolical for us. But, you know, we've come out the other end, as everyone does. But, you know, it's a type of trauma at the end of the day, which a lot of people have experienced. And there's a lot of women out there and men that won't want to talk about it. So I've sort of put my hand up to say, you know, you can ask any question you like. I'm an open book. But there's a lot of people out there that want to keep things close to their chest, and I completely understand that.
Yeah, well, thank you so much for sharing, because it certainly does help, and it provides comfort to people that might be going through the same things. And you know, as amazing as it is to see all the smiling photos and stuff, there is the other side of it behind the camera, and it's important for people to know that as well.
Absolutely. And I think, you know, a lot of women will understand that about, you know, putting your game face on, and then, you know, whether it's something happening at home or work or wherever, just getting on with it. And that's very much what a lot of us do. But the beauty of being able to come out and talk to everyone, for me personally, I find it a bit cathartic. I didn't think I would. So I like to engage with people at work. I'm obviously not doing that at the moment, but every time I do a session like this, I feel really good for the next couple of days. So it's not even just about you know, you guys giving us, it's you're giving us certainly money for research purposes, but you're giving me an opportunity to actually feel really nice, which sometimes can be few and far between, you know, at this point in time. But I think the really important part is for each and every one of you to understand what your support and funding actually means to us as individuals. And my type of cancer, had I had it 13 years ago, I wouldn't be here today. And research is what, you know, changes that statistic at the end of the day.
Absolutely. Oh, thank you. That's amazing to hear. So do you have any advice for those who might have a family or friend who are going through this kind of thing? I guess best ways to approach it, what kind of advice or, you know, I guess comfort that might have been provided to you that you've found really helpful? You said before, you don't like the word journey. Like, is there things that people can say or you know, just be there for you that you found extra helpful?
I think it's probably a very personalized question for someone, or journey for someone. You know, there's whenever I use the word lucky, I can't say lucky without saying lucky. I was very lucky going through chemo that my side effects weren't too bad. Ask my husband, he might say no, because it's all a bit of a blur. But there are a lot of people that just can't function being on chemo. There's no rhyme or reason for it. I remember speaking to one of my specialists before starting, and I said, so what's this going to be like, you know? And she said, look, I had a 36-year-old marathon runner who worked the first few weeks, ran a few marathons, and then halfway through had to stop work, go home and just finish it at home. I had a 65-year-old retiree who by the end of it asked me, was I dosing her at the right rate? Because she sort of just seemed to breeze through it. So, you know, it's really different for everyone from a physical perspective, certainly. It's different for everyone from an emotional and mental perspective. That can be your circumstance, whether you live with your family, you've got partner and children or not, whether you're young or old, retired, etc. I think probably the most important answer to that question is that there is no right way to behave when you have cancer, and there is no right way to support people. I think you have to probably be open and there. What I've probably realised is that I've been on both sides. I had a friend who was diagnosed with a different type of cancer, and I was a bit, again, she was 35. It was a couple of years before me, and I was gobsmacked, and I gave her as much support as I can, and I thought I was doing great. And then I was diagnosed, and I realized, wow, you know, some of the things I was probably doing, I thought fantastic. We're just like, okay, yep, just moving on. So I think for partners who have someone who's going through breast cancer is just to be there and listen. But for those partners to understand there's not much more they can really do, which is something my husband found really hard. He just felt like he just couldn't do a whole lot. But him being there and hugging me and not even saying anything, but just hugging me when I was upset and I was saying some, you know, really intense stuff when you're looking down the barrel of maybe not being here, is to be there for your partner. And for friends and family, same thing as well, is the things like the food and the things like taking the kids for the day. My friends just turned up and said, we're taking them. I was like, okay. And they take them off to the movies and stuff. Things like that is twofold. I've got so many friends that just appeared out of the woodwork, and I still feel like I want to give me your children. I want to take them for the day because you did it for me, because it's such a beautiful thing to be able to do that. And I think as an individual suffering through cancer is you need to open up and let people help you, which sometimes can be really, really hard to do. So it's the hard one to say what should everyone do, but I think it's just be mindful and accepting of the process, I think, at the end of the day, and accepting that being there for someone is sometimes the best thing you can do. You know, you can't go out there and fix it, you know, go out and cure cancer at that point in time. And just be aware that there's hope. You know, there's organizations like National Breast Cancer, and this is all about hope. And for me, hope was the biggest driver for me, I think, was hope. Until the day that I have zero hope, right, then I'm hopeful that my future is bright. And I've been there with my mum, so I know what no hope means, and she struggled with her disease for 11 years. But, you know, going through that with her and going through chemo and the two of us on the bed together, you know, feeling terrible, you know, hope is just such a huge medicine, I think, at the end of the day. And that's what research provides. You know, that's what your support and your funding is providing, is that hope for many people. We've got 55 people diagnosed every single day in Australia. That's 1 every 2 hours. And we've got 9 people a day losing their lives. You know, that's huge. We look at the COVID statistics these days, and they're a little bit higher than that. But in terms of losing lives, you know, it's a big thing. And it's amazing once you tell your story, how many people pop up and say, oh, I was diagnosed a few years ago, I had it. Oh, my mum had it. My sister's going through it. My best friend. It's amazing. It's come out everywhere. It's almost like it's been, unfortunately, a little bit normalized, where, you know, it's happening and we sort of don't really pay that much attention to it now. The amount of Netflix shows I watched during treatment that I was like, oh my gosh, it's a breast cancer thing again, I just turn this off, you know, like it was out of control. So, and it still happens now. My husband and I'm watching something and breast cancer will come up as a theme, and he'll look at me and he'll just say, oh, seriously? Yeah, no. And I'll say, well, she's got a particular type. I know her type, so that treatment's quite wrong what they're doing there. So, you know, there's all that stuff where it's around us. And I think we're not noticing, and that's for me tough, because I want women to be out there and be aware. And early detection is all we have at the moment. You know, our cause that we have, 0 by 2030, is about 0 deaths. So it's about improving our treatments to stop women and men from dying. It's not necessarily about finding a cure, although I'd love one by 2030, but it's about finding treatments that keep us alive for the next person who's diagnosed, to say, yes, you have breast cancer. It's going to be a terrible journey physically and emotionally, but you will not die from this. And the first question I asked my GP when I was diagnosed through those tears was, is this a death sentence? And I want her to be able to say, no, you won't die from this. We have treatments available.
Absolutely. Oh, that perfectly answers my next question. Yeah, it was literally going to be, what are your hopes for the future of men and women receiving the diagnosis? So yeah, that's what we're all wanting to work towards. So yeah, you guys do an incredible job. So yeah, more than happy to be campaigning and raising awareness and funds for you guys. Yeah.
And that's it. And just a really big thank you to you and your team, and for the support you provided. And $100,000 since 2014 is no small feat. So just know that money's going to a good place, to men and women like myself. And you might not see them every day. They're probably walking past you in the street. You'd have no idea. But the fact that they are walking past you quietly in the street is a testament to what your support can do.
Thank you. Thank you so much. And yeah, thank you to everyone that's watching as well. If you're involved, yeah, it means so much to all of us. So thank you very, very much.
Thank you.